Previously on Imperium, the Primaris aggressors managed to defeat the Necron Overlord, Trazat the Exalted. But I did make a few mistakes in that. Firstly, I forgot to do 2 save rolls for the Necron Overlord in Space Marines turn 1, so let's roll them now. So we're looking for a 3+ to save. So making 1 save, which means at that point he would be on 1 wound, not the 2 that he was before. I also missed another save roll for Trazat in the fight phase, so again let's roll that now. And the Flamestorm Gauntlet has an AP of -3 in the melee, so he's going to be needing a 6 to save. Only getting a 5, so he will be taking that wound, but at this point he would have only been on 2, not the 3 from the previous video. But then I did correctly miss a save roll, so at the end of Space Marines fight phase he was up to 3 wounds, not the 4 from the previous video. That would then mean that at the start of Necron's turn 2, when the Overlord gets 1 wound back for living metal, that he would then be on 2 wounds, not the 3, or the 4 that was in the previous video. And then this would have meant that in Space Marines turn 2, when he takes the extra wound, that he would have been up to 4, not the 5, so the game wouldn't have been over then, and he would have got the chance to attack back, so we'll do that now. And he has 4 attacks, looking for a 2+ to hit. So 4 hits, and then looking for a 2+ to wound. So 4 wounds, and as the Ire of Triarch has an AP of -4, Brother Marcos cannot make the save, and he is therefore out of the game. And therefore Trazat the Exalted would have actually been the conquering hero. So apologies for those mistakes, I hope this makes up for it. Let's get back to this month's action. And now, the Overlord of Megaria's Necron invaders has risen from his slumber, and with the aid of his Royal Warden, seeks to confront the Space Marines leaders. So starting with Necron's turn 1, we'll begin by moving the Overlord 6 inches towards the Primaris Captain. And we will leave the Royal Warden where he is, as he is 12 inches away and has a range of 30 inches, so he's already within half range, so he can use his rapid fire. So let's move on to the shooting and see if he can cause any damage to the Primaris Lieutenant. So I'll be rolling 4 dice as he's using rapid fire, and we're looking for a 3+. So 1 successful hit, and looking for a 3+ to wound. Now the Relic Gauss Blaster does have an AP of -2, but we're going to use the Primaris Lieutenant's invulnerable save from his Storm Shield, so we're going to be looking for a 4+, which we make, so he'll be taking no damage this turn. So now let's move on to the charge phase, and the Overlord is 6 inches away from the Primaris Captain, so let's roll 2 dice. Getting a 7, so easily making it. So let's find out what the Overlord can do with his Void Scythe. So we've got 4 attacks, looking for a 2+ to hit, making all 4, and looking for a 2+ to wound, making 2. And the Primaris Captain also has a 4+ invulnerable save, as he's got Iron Halo. So making 1 save, 1 wound will be going through, and the Void Scythe has a damage of 3, so he'll be taking 3 wounds in total for that. But now he has the chance to attack back, and the Primaris Captain has 5 attacks, looking for a 2+ to hit. Still need that dice tray. So making 4, and looking for a 3+ to wound. So all 4 successful. And the Mastercrafted Power Sword has an AP of -3. So the Overlord is looking for 6s to save. Okay. So making 1 save but failing 3. And the Mastercrafted Power Sword has damage of 2, so that would total 8 wounds. But the Overlord only has 5, so he is out of the game. I've just noticed that mistake whilst editing. 3 times 2 is obviously 6, not 8. I don't know what I was thinking, but that wouldn't have affected the outcome there, so let's get back to it. And that is the end of Necron turn 1, onto Space Marines turn 1. So starting with the Primaris Captain, I'm going to begin by moving him 6 inches towards the Royal Warden. And I'll do the same with the Lieutenant. So they're both within good charging distance. So let's move on to the shooting. And we'll begin with the Primaris Captain, who gets one shot with his plasma pistol. Looking for a 2+ to hit. And looking for a 3+ to wound. And that has an AP of -3. So the Royal Warden looking for a 6 to save. Only getting a 3. And the plasma pistol only has a damage of 1. So he'll be taking 1 wound. So now on to the Lieutenant, who with his Neo-Volkite pistol has 2 shots. Looking for a 2+ to hit. So 1 hit. And a 4+ to wound. So no wounds. So let's attempt to make their charges. And the Captain needing a 7. Getting an 8, so making that nicely. And then the Lieutenant needing a 6. Just making it. And we'll begin with the Primaris Captain here, who gets 5 attacks with his Mastercrafted Power Sword. Looking for a 2+ to hit. So 4 hits. And looking for a 4+ to wound. So making 2. And that has an AP of -3. So the Royal Warden will need 6s to save. Failing both. And as that has a damage of 2, he'll be taking 4 wounds total, which would bring him up to 5. But as he only has 4, that's him knocked out of the game. So that was a pretty decisive victory there for the Space Marines. All hail the conquering heroes. That was over so quick that I didn't even get to interrupt it to make my Patreon announcement. So as always, once a month in these Imperium videos, I reward one of my Patreon followers the opportunity to become the sponsor of the figures normally used in that video. But this month is some different ones, but I'm not going to tell you what they are. The Patreons already know, and the Patreons already know who the winner was. So if you want to find out, then just follow the link in the description and go and join my Patreon. I also noticed whilst editing this video that I did make another mistake. So when rolling the hit wounds for the Void Scythe, I was meant to subtract 1, but I didn't. But since the Space Marine victory was so convincing, it didn't actually make a difference to the outcome. So I luckily got away with that one. But anyway, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.